Hello and welcome to French Philosophers React, a philosophical take on the news headlines for today, September 18th, 2024. This is an AI-generated podcast intended as an engaging, relevant, and informative way to explore what French philosophers might think about the day's news. But like all AI, it can make mistakes. Use it for generating possible ideas, but don't rely on it as an authoritative guide to the news or to the details of French philosophy. In the news today, Hezbollah has vowed to retaliate against Israel after pagers used by its members exploded across Lebanon simultaneously, killing at least 9 people and wounding almost 3,000. The blasts occurred hours after Israel announced it was broadening its aims in the war to include Hezbollah along the border with Lebanon. 2 Hezbollah fighters were among those killed, and several others were injured, including Iran's ambassador to Beirut. Lebanon's health minister reported that over 2,750 people were injured, with more than 200 critically hurt. The apparent sabotage attack was seen as a significant escalation of tensions between Israel and Hezbollah amid U.S. efforts to de-escalate the conflict. Commentary: The chaos within. How the explosions in Lebanon unleash a perfect storm of disorder. In the midst of escalating tensions between Israel and Hezbollah, the recent coordinated bombings targeting the communication devices used by Hezbollah's members have set off a chain reaction that will only lead to more chaos. This is not just a story about a series of explosions. It's a tale of how the intricate web of relationships between nations can unravel into a perfect storm of disorder. As Michel Serres would remind us, the chaos that reigns on Earth is not a negation of order, but an affirmation of disorder, a true ontological state. The news story unfolding in Lebanon is a stark illustration of this concept. In the midst of war, when nations are already operating at the edge of chaos, a single event like the explosion of pagers used by Hezbollah's members can tip the scales and unleash a maelstrom of consequences. The explosions themselves were not just a random act of violence. They were a deliberate attempt to disrupt communication networks, a vital component in any modern conflict. By targeting these devices, Israel has effectively inserted itself into the intricate web of relationships between Lebanon, Hezbollah, and Iran. This is where Serres' concept of the parasite becomes relevant. The role of external actors like Mossad can be seen as a form of parasitic influence, feeding on the existing tensions and amplifying them to create an even more complex crisis. The fact that pagers were specifically targeted highlights the significance of communication in modern conflicts. As Serres would argue in The Natural Contract, our understanding of the world is shaped by the information we exchange with others. In this context, the explosions can be seen as a deliberate attempt to disrupt not just Hezbollah's command structure, but also the entire web of relationships between nations. Hezbollah's vow to retaliate against Israel serves only to further exacerbate the situation, creating a feedback loop of violence and counterviolence that is difficult to contain. The more we try to impose order on this chaos, the more it seems to resist our attempts, ultimately revealing the inherent disorder of human relationships in times of conflict. The news story from Lebanon is not just about explosions. It's about how the complex web of relationships between nations can unravel into a perfect storm of disorder. It's about how even the smallest event can have far-reaching consequences, and how the intricate dance of communication and information exchange can become the very catalyst for chaos. Thank you for listening to today's episode of French Philosophers React. Be sure to come back tomorrow for more reflective takes on the day's news.